My name is Haley Wright, and welcome to another edition of Emerging Issuer. Joining us in the studio today is Johnny Thomas, the Chief Executive Officer of Consolidation Services Incorporated, a company that trades on the over-the-counter bulletin board in the U.S. under the symbol CNSV. But before we start the interview, here's a little information on the company. Consolidation Services Incorporated is engaged in the acquisition and consolidation of organic and natural food companies in the food service industry. Their strategic objective is to become a leading supplier and distributor of organic and natural food products in the United States through the internal growth and development of premium brands and through an acquisition program of local and regional brands of operations. CNSV is also acquiring land for organic certification and grazing of beef and dairy cattle, goats, and wild game on grass-fed pastures. Eastern Kentucky was selected as the place to develop the first model production unit due to the availability of large acreages with excellent grazing potential, as well as excellent prospects for energy development, specifically natural gas, oil, and coal. Welcome to Emerging Issuer, Johnny.
Thank you, Haley. It's a pleasure to be with you and your listeners.
Now, I'm sure we can all presume that the organic and natural food sector is $1 million, if not $1 billion sector, and is growing every year. Could you expand on what makes this such a lucrative industry, and also how is CNSV taking advantage of this?
Yes, Haley, the sector is very large. It's a $20 billion sector. The annual growth rate in this sector is 20 to 24% every year since 1990, which means that there's $4 billion of new business, which is an ideal place for a startup company to be. The street values companies in this sector, PE multiples, are generally 25 to 70. We position ourselves to be a major player in this sector by two methods. First, we're acquiring land, thousands of acres of land to produce products directly. And secondly, we are setting ourselves up to do a very aggressive mergers and acquisition program.
Great. Now, reading over your business plan and website, I've observed that the CNSV management team is very experienced in operating public companies, specifically, like you said, mergers and acquisitions. Could you please explain to our viewers how you selected that team and what are some of the key achievements CNSV has accomplished thus far?
Our team has been together for approximately 30 years. We have taken several companies public. In our last venture, we obtained a great deal of experience on mergers and acquisitions. We did 34 acquisitions in a 4-year period, grew our revenues from $29,000 to over $350 million, and increased our market cap from zero to over $1.2 billion, while bringing shareholders' stock prices from 50 cents to $29. Our major accomplishments in this past 6 months that we've been public are, number one, we've acquired over 11,000 acres for use in our organic operations, which are very rich in coal and natural gas. Number two, we're rapidly building up our asset and shareholder value so that we can qualify for a more senior exchange. We've grown our assets from $250,000 to greater than $5 million in these first 6 months, and we've grown our shareholder equity from $130,000 to greater than $4 million.
Wow, very impressive. Now, with the company being publicly traded, obviously everyone is interested in shareholder value. What steps is the company taking to nurture that process?
I think the first thing is that we're acquiring assets that will produce a large revenue base very quickly. We have acquired land that has third-party estimated, our $22 billion worth of coal, which we won't mine directly, but we will permit it and lease it out. So that would amount to $600 million worth of royalties. We're moving rapidly toward cashing in on that. We will have our first mining. We'll start late this year. We'll receive our first royalty checks in the first quarter of 2009, and we expect royalty checks in 2009 to exceed $2 million and maybe go as high as $4 million. We are starting to negotiate with natural gas companies to unlock the value in the natural gas opportunities we have. We have an estimated $8 billion of natural gas on the lands that we own.
Wow. Now, last question, Johnny, and this is primarily for our viewers out there. Why should the investment community stand up and take notice of Consolidation Services Incorporated?
I think that they should look at our past management track record and know that we know how to run a public company. We know how to grow it very rapidly. and our progress to date, growing our assets and shareholder value so rapidly, primarily by acquiring hard assets, i.e. land, coal, and gas, with restricted stock that is sold by a lock-up leak-out agreement. I think that the investment public can see that we are going to move very rapidly to become a large player in the organic food sector and in the energy sector and generate sizable profits over the next few years.
Great, Johnny. Very exciting stuff. For more information on Consolidation Services Incorporated, their company and management team, visit their website, www.consolidationservicesinc.com. Well, that's it for me, Haley Wright. Until the next edition of Emerging Issuer, we'll see you then.